Hi, I'm Mike Haddock, and today we're back at the archaeological site, Francis Dorrance, down in Coxton Roads in Pennsylvania. And I did a video before this. Behind me you can see the river. And then as you kind of turn around here, that's where they have the archaeological site. So we're going to go in there. They're having an open house today and look at some of the stuff they found. Well, we're back here again at the Francis Dorrance Chapter's archaeological dig here in Coxton. And the last time Mike was here, we weren't quite that deep. But now we're down about 5 feet. And we're going to continue down at the bottom, going down about another meter or so to see if there's any cultural material down below. And if we go down into the pit area here, I'll explain to you a little bit about what we're finding. These here are some features that we're encountering at the late Archaic level, which is around 2000 BC. Actually, in the northeast, the late Archaic period extends from 2000 BC to 4000 BC. These are some of the features that are starting to appear. This dark stain first appears as a stain, a circular stain, sometimes an oval shaped stain, sometimes they're amorphous. We stop right where we hit the stain, we outline it, we map it in. And then this one here has been done earlier, and we cross-section it and then basin it out and save all the soils that's inside of it for botanical analysis. That's the earth and pits that we have here. These here are remnants of extinct fire pits. As you can see, they get scattered a lot. The features that appear on the surface, they tend to be more scattered than the basin-shaped pits. They seem to be more intact. As we move over here, these are remnants of other fire pits here. You can see these rocks here are canted in a bit, where the pit actually was dug out, and these rocks are laid along the side of it there. A lot of rocks from the shoreline, and a lot of tabular rocks from probably laying around near the mountain up there, etc., etc. That's pretty much where we're at here. The deep excavation part here is basically a lot of sand and lamellae bands, which don't show much artifactual material. Our cultural material ends at this level right here. Right in here, it goes all the way up, and just below that black band up in there, that's where our cultural material exists. Down below, we never find anything down there, but there's always a possibility of another component down deep in there. So we're going to take this down a good meter or so yet to make sure that there's nothing below this.
My name is Vince E. Fault. I'm a member of the Francis Dorrance Archaeology, and we have some hands-on artifacts for our guests coming today. And we have a bowl and pestle. This is actually found in the back mountain in a farmer's field. You can see it's all smoothed out. This is all pecked out. This is used quite a bit. And here we have
take them out of the bag, but
an axe.
these don't go in here. These don't go in here.
That's an axe.
That's an axe, and you can imagine chopping a tree down with this thing. Even the weight of it would weigh me out in about 10 swings or something like that. And here we have some pot lids. Real easy stuff. Oh yeah, why not? Soapstone, you can see how smooth it is. It's so easy to texture and to cut it. And we have various stages of pottery. We have a hoe for digging. Look at all the nice flake marks in there. Beautiful. This is a nutting stone. And, actually you get your walnuts or whatever, and you're just hammering them with this hammer stone like that. And that just makes that groove in there.
Yep.
This is a net sinker. They come in all different sizes. I have a box of these in my car that I collected, and they'll be this size, as large as this size, and they're using it for the river. They tie this up with sinew and throw it in with the nets. The river here. What else we have? We have a celt. See, nice and smooth.
What's a celt actually?
It's like a chipping tool.
A chipping tool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a gorgeous, just for a sharpening tool. Look at how smooth that is.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we have sort of projectiles. These flakes like that. These are projectiles rough. blades, Susquehanna spear point. They use different artifacts. They use rather different materials. This is quartz. They use flint. They use rayolite. And this is actually a tool that you use. A tool that you do your flakes with, your percussion with. That's what they use to flake the tools out. Again, these are flakes that we found, primary flakes, because they had the ability just to get the stones and start working them. And sometimes it didn't work out, but you know, they use some different tools. Like this could be a scraper too, like this. Scrape the sinew from the hide. Again, these are pieces of pottery. This is a whale's tooth, just for fun. They throw this in here. It's not found in this area. And this is, again, is another hammerstone. But again, you use that percussion to do stones, do work, do grounding. That's it. And then we get to our real nice artifacts, the real projectiles. But this is just hands-on stuff that will have the people come and get an idea what's going on. But again, they're all, you have to appreciate the time it took to get that groove in there. And this, the marksmanship. And then again, it's sharp, but not that sharp. And I'll take a chance out of that. All right, these are just different sizes of the net sinkers. You can see the marksmanship that they just flake both ends and they tie sinew around this. And you can see the different sizes, like they come in this size, or this size, smaller size. And again, there's smaller nets, smaller fish, higher waters. Right. And again, all they do is get this, flake both ends off, so they could tie sinew around it.
Yeah. These are all just net sinkers.
These are all net sinkers.
So they used to fish along the river with nets.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely, I would.
Yeah, it's easier than a fishing pole, right?
Oh, yeah. They're very nice, but again, they're here, and you find these artifacts, so we know they're fishing. And again, they're all different sizes. For heavier fish, higher waters. Yes, a great assortment.
Okay, my name is Ted, and I'd like to show you a little bit of what we found here in the historic vein. These are a bunch of coins that we've pulled out of the most recent cellar that we've done. Most of them are from the most recent cellar. It's probably the earliest of the set, the cellars that we've dug. And there's some interesting coins in here. They all date to the 1700s, and there's one that may be a little bit older than that, but we're not sure. It's probably still within the 1700s, but that's this coin here. And we think it's a Spanish coin, but we need somebody really knows their coins well to look at that. Particularly like these two here. They're in fairly good shape. The one on the right-hand side is a Connecticut coin from 1788, and the one on the left is a 1787 New Jersey coin. That's during the Articles of Confederation when the states were making their own coinage. We also have several King George coins. We have a U.S. half cent here, which is probably one of our youngest ones in this grouping. That's from 1797. And this one I'm particularly pleased with. Originally I thought it was a King George coin because it said Georgius on it. But a little further investigation and looking with a magnifying glass and in a coin book, that is a Georgius Triumpho token. And it's meant to commemorate the victory of George Washington over Cornwallis at Yorktown. And that one I just found terribly fascinating because it really pinpoints the time period that we're looking at. Here's some of the other historic artifacts that we have here. We have utensil handles. These date to the late 1700s. I found that particular style on the internet, so I know that that's the case. A two-pronged fork, which three-pronged forks didn't become popular until after the 1700s. So that's a pretty good indicator of age. We have 3 shoe buckles. The one here being the best example because it's the most complete and it has the hooking mechanism with it. And they would have been shoe buckles Those would have been the buckles that would hold your shoes on. And finding one of those is a good indicator of it being 18th century, 1700s. Finding three of them is a really good indication. A couple of other interesting things we found in other different foundations. That there is a lice comb, and those are fairly common finds. So the early settlers must have had the same sort of problems that elementary school kids have nowadays. This is a reed for some sort of a musical instrument, we believe, and that's probably maybe a concertina or an accordion or something like that. Here's a regular comb made out of metal. I don't know how comfortable that would be pulling through your hair. We have a very spooky doll face. And one of my favorite things is what we found in the third foundation that we've dug, and that's this here, and that is a trade axe that would be traded to the Native Americans in exchange for beaver pelts or food or whatever the trader needed, usually pelts. And it's a rather cheaply made, but they were highly sought after because they were a little bit more durable than the stone axes, although they did continue to use stone axes after that. We have other examples of things over here. Oh, this is a gear from a clock.
Oh, clock.
And we found several pieces of clocks and watches, and find a little gear in a foundation that's usually a clock or a watch. This we found in a well that we dug a couple of years ago. That's transferware, probably dates to the mid-1800s. This is a lady's buckle for clothing. That metal piece had been affixed to the back, but it has come loose over the 100 years or so that it was underground. This is a gaming piece. It's I think a bone domino is what it appears to be. It's drilled bone. But that was an interesting thing to find because it just shows the kind of things that the settlers did. This is a piece of painted whiteware that dates to the early 1800s, late 1700s. And then I'm in the process of putting out a couple of other different types of ceramics that go over. Usually, most everything goes through the 1800s.
And it mostly came out of over here.
Well, this is one of three foundations. This is the most recent one we've dug. The other two, the first foundation we dug was late 1800s. The one after that we dug was a older one. This, I believe, is the oldest that we found so far. But the second one it appears to have been being used later on as a summer kitchen for the most recent foundation. So, because there on pictures that we have, it does appear to be right next to the first foundation, and that's where we found the second foundation. So we've been busy digging historic stuff as well as Native American stuff. I actually like the historic stuff because you can find documents easier. I'm not good at identifying points, but the historic stuff you can find examples of it still, and you can find people that remember having them and people that can identify stuff, because there's some stuff that we have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
These are some of the diagnostic projectiles that we recovered from the Conrail site. There's two traditions that represent the Conrail site. That is the Laurentian and the Piedmont tradition. The Piedmont tradition comes up from Alabama, up the Appalachian, into New York State. The Laurentian comes down from Canada into the Hudson Bay area. These points represent that tradition. They're traveling in that particular zone. Now here's some examples of, this is what is called an Orient fishtail. This appears in the transitional period in the northeast, 1800 to 800 BC. These here are Fox Creek projectiles, three different types of Fox Creek projectiles. This is argillite, argillaceous shale. They appear in the Middle Woodland period in the Northeast, around 190 BC to about 350 AD. This here is one of the older points. This is a Kirk point. This appears close to 7,000 BC. Right. Okay. I'll give you an example. Here's a Lamoka point, stem point, Piedmont tradition point. Dates around 2000 BC, somewhere around there. Here's a particular fancy little point here called the St. Charles Point. All right, this is close to 7,000 BC. See the deep serrations on the side? These are cutting edges. These are mostly for butchering, for cutting and stuff like that, you know. Put that back where it was. Let me see it. Here's another Kirk point. This is a Kirk stem point. Just a stem on the bottom, a broad stem on the bottom of it, deep serrations. Another early point, early archaic projectile. Okay. This is one of the larger points that we've gotten from the site so far. This is a Vosberg. It's very, very large. I don't know if there's another one this size that I've ever seen, or there's another one recorded this size here. This dates around 2800 BC, somewhere around that time frame. We did have this carbon dated, by the way. Yeah. Let's see. This one here is a bifurcated point. You can see the tiny little lobes on the bottom of it. These appear on the archaeological record around 6000 BC. You can see the two little lobes on the bottom, on the base of it, like that. Yeah. This is a large blade. A large blade, probably a knife. I can see it's been broken half. It's hard to date something like this. It could be very old. We did find it in the deeper levels at the Conrail site.
Oh, okay. It's homemade, so it's not a relic.
This one here we're thinking is an Adena, a narrow-stemmed Adena point. Now, we do have evidence of the Middlesex Adena in our area here. There's some evidence, very little evidence, but we do have evidence of the Middlesex Adena in our area here. Beautiful material. Okay.
A little display on what the Indians would be eating.
Yeah.
Now, is this all original Indian food, Paula, or no?
Yes, I baked all night. I was baking.
Were you?
Yes,
Okay.
I was. I'm exhausted.